Hi everyone, this is E, the Empty Nester. How are you this evening? I thought I'd do a little bit of a chat about, you know, what I've been up to. You've seen me sneaking around putting in plants when I'm supposed to just be, sitting around doing nothing. Hi, someone's in the room. But if you remember my dumpster dive find, I've got all of them in except for two spaghetti squash and two muskmelon, and then I've got them in this pail right here with a little bit of water in them, and they're doing well. Have to get them in the ground though. And then this one here, the begonia, is the hardest one to save, but it looks like hope, that I might be able to save these guys, but I can't just put them in the ground. And um, yeah, because we've been in the 90s. Sorry, I need to move a little bit more this way, otherwise you'll have the sun in your eyes. Yeah, look, there's sun. you know, um, can the person in the room say hi? And then I've got my disguise so nobody will know that it's me out here gardening, But, I thought hi, escaping the matrix. Good to see you. Um, that's great that you've got your notifications so you can come in. It seems like sometimes, I don't get them until, way after the videos have started. And sometimes I don't get them at all. I'm not sure what's up with the notifications. It's good to see you too. I haven't been able, I'm going to have to, when I get back in the house, look you up and see if, some of the videos I've missed of yours with me being in the hospital often on this past year or so. Because you make some really good videos, and I do enjoy watching them. But, I've got my disguise on, and was going to talk about how's the weather there where you're at. I know that you're probably, what do you call it? Um, Ours is Fahrenheit, and I'm not sure if, it's like 32 Celsius. Um, Today is a little bit less than 32, but it's been pretty hot, and I've been if you've seen some of my updates, putting in a little bit here and there. I've got some tomatoes and squash and um, some potatoes that came back. Okay, thank you. But I enjoy that we can talk from across the pond, all the way over there, and we're normally weather like the United Kingdom, a little bit of rain, 24C. So you're a lot cooler than we are temperature wise. That's good. So you're still able to get some things in the ground. And I'm not sure if you've got Sapomero and Charlotte there, where you're at, but I was able to get a hold of some last year, and then I wasn't able to get them out of the ground, and they came back on their own, so I'm really happy. And I think it's Charlotte is in bloom right now, the potato, and I think two or three blooms now are on the potato, so I've got a good chance of getting seed from it this year, and hopefully tubers too. And then the sapomero is one that I'm really hoping that I get seed from. The balls, like a tomato is the ball, like a potato has a ball, and inside there they both have seeds where you can change them around or mix them with another one, crossbreeding. Clarence's French gardening. Hi, good to see you. I'm glad that we've, caught each other on chat too. I'm not sure what part of the world, that you're in too. Where I'm in Missouri. And let's see if I can get this turned around without messing anything up and, see if you can see the flowers. I think this is Charlotte, and it's in the place of Charlotte, but the blooms don't look quite right. Um, Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy seeing them. But if this could be Sapomero too. I'm not quite sure because Charlotte I thought had more of a complete flower, and the other ones down here on the ground could be Charlotte, and that's Sapomero. So, I don't. That's one problem. Thought I could use my memory and not tag them because I only had those two in the greenhouse. Um, okay, so you agree they probably are Charlotte by the flower. Thank you, Duddy. Good to see you. I'm in disguise now because remember I'm not supposed to be gardening. So, I'm gonna call myself the sneaky gardener and see what I can get put in. And I'm really excited and can't wait. And so you think that is, let's see, Sapo, wait a second, let me see if I can get your comment back up. Okay, I just know until I dig them up, or the other one flowers, which one it is. But I guess I should have put on a beard and a mustache too, so nobody, or a scarf, so nobody would actually know I'm sneaking around out here gardening. Or actually, we're just looking at the garden right now, but I've been sneaking around, putting in a plant here and there, and everything that I found when I did that found video. Let's see if I can get this. Look at this geranium blooming and happy, and all the little ground covers that I put in, are doing really well too. So it was really worth the, just grabbing them and trying to save their lives. And what's that called right here? It won't be sap or dal, as they are light potatoes. You watch, wait, your comment almost disappeared. You watch what you're doing, young lady. I am so far. I've been really lucky, and doing things a lot easier, and having to learn patience, instead of being able to just do everything in the first week or two, like getting out of the gate like a horse, getting the garden done. I've had to sit in a chair and put in a tomato plant or two here and there, and then rust, and then like you all saw me, putting those in the baskets up there on the fence line. You know, yeah, I thank you. I am watching my health, and I guess I should sit in this seat instead of having the sun blink in. But let's see. I have been taking it easy, and it's really hard to just sit around and look at things, and then pull weeds a few here and there, and I don't know, it's kind of like patience. This year's my year to have to learn patience or tolerance. And you could also call me the weed gardener this year too, because I've got so many weeds. But the weeds are actually protecting my potatoes in the other part, the open part where my potato garden is. Last year we had 90 degrees in July, or no, June, and it killed all my plants last year. So I only got maybe a quarter of my crop, that I put in. And then this year, the potatoes are actually doing, the ones that did come up are doing pretty well. They're being shaded by some of the weeds, and that's possibly keeping them cooler, so the weeds are my friends this year too in the potato garden, and who would have thought? And I've got to cut back the comfrey because it's starting to fall over. It brings you happiness, planting, and when you do that, happiness is good for your well-being. Yeah, thank you, Escaping the Matrix for Good. That's kind of what I need, because gardening is healing, and Let's see. Clarence's French Gardening says you're looking great. A big difference from a few weeks ago. It's 12:30 a.m. here. Off to bed. Good night. Thank you. Sending love and hugs and kisses to you. So you're on the other side of the pond too. It's great to see you, and I appreciate you stopping in for a little bit of a chat. And it's great, I could offer you, a good night drink of water, I guess. Bye bye. But it looks like there's 5 people still in the room, and I'm glad that, like the bed that I made over there for the sweet potatoes, I set it up wrong. I set it up right for the sweet potatoes, but I set it up wrong for tomatoes, and had to add some things to the soil to retain some water, because that bed was so free draining, and it needed the high heat and draining, where the tomatoes liked the heat, but they also liked, water. We're lucky that we're getting some rain, but not enough. And I'm having to get the hose, and I've got it, just in that area, to where I've got to water this area where normally I don't water anything. I've been lucky that we have enough rain that, not only floods, but my plants really like it. So I had the soil free draining to deal with the abundance of water. Now I have to learn to, or compromise a little bit to deal with the lack of water. So we always have to be prepared, for one way or the other. And I'm really glad that those beds are set up that way, that it only takes just a little bit. And, like the bucket, that 5-gallon bucket that I did that's self-watering, it can deal with rain, lack of rain, or too much rain too. So I did good setting up the garden that way too. But in the back, I didn't deal with, what's that called? The beds are not high enough, and there's too much grass in the beds, because I used to use straw to, put on either side, and the straw kind of brought in some weed seeds, and I dealt with that each year, where I was able to bring in more straw bales and just put over it. I never had to dig. And it's just, I can't deal with that kind of work of, dealing with straw bales, or bringing in or bringing up the soil. So my tomato garden is just got the grapes from John Parker growing in it. And I haven't looked lately. Some of the cover crop that I put in last fall, just dropping it. Escaping the Matrix for Good says, my first year on growing sweet potatoes, they're in a polytunnel, as the UK does not have enough heat for long summers. That's a good idea. The sweet potatoes too like a good amount of nitrogen to feed on. So if you set it up like that, or, like if, I know you have chickens that needs to compost, but I'm not sure if you've got rabbit manure there, or access to it to, help feed them a little more in the polytunnel. And then too, I'm not sure how good, with your compost. My memory can't let me remember, Escape the Matrix, where your soil came from, or, was brought in from too. Thanks. I could do with all the advice I can get. Yeah, remember my sweet potatoes? They were huge. And then when I reset up the grow bags last year, I set them up for smaller ones. I didn't give them as much nitrogen, and they did come out small. But I was in the hospital, and the frost got to them, so I couldn't use them, because sweet potatoes don't like cold. I'm gonna have to reorder slips for the what's it called, the Okinawa purple sweet potatoes for next year, because I really want those back in the garden, because they taste just like regular potatoes, and not the normal sweet potatoes. The Malachi tasted, more like a normal sweet potato, and I found that my family wants sugar added to the sweet potatoes, so it's better that I don't keep those in my garden supply, even though they grew well. And my neighbor has, I gave her some, and she more than likely has slips, but I didn't talk to her this year to find out how her garden went last year, but it's kind of neat. It says I've been using goat poo and wood chips on them for a long and good drainage and from sandy soil. That should work, also. So, I'm not sure that if goat poo, I think you have to compost that for a while, and I'm sure you probably have, to, not let the nitrogen burn the plants. But again, we're in different areas and different things, because like at my daughter's house, she's got donkeys now, and her husband was going to save the donkey stuff, and let it compost for me. And I've got unlimited access to cow manure. And my daughter, let's see, Betty, the disgruntled gardener, is 40 degrees. Wow, I need to move north. you know, that's amazing. But then too, you're dealing with, growing in the greenhouse too, and cooler temperatures, where right now I would love to put in some more beans, the what's they called, there's too many weeds for me to just plant, like the bush kind of beans. They would have to fight with the weeds, but I kind of wish I had more spaces. The beds behind me are in the shade, and what do you call it? As you can see, some of the weeds have popped in there. Yeah, I know, Steve, you don't like sweet potatoes. Good to see you, my friend. That's why I'm growing normal potatoes just for you, you know. But, I don't think I could live without a crop of potatoes. And then I've got some seeds where, the berries kind of dehydrated last year. A friend from the potato group I'm in, hi, American expat from the Philippines. Glad to see you in person too. He's got a wonderful channel, and he's learning how to live life differently in the Philippines, and it's really interesting. That the Philippines kind of has a ban on, like there. I don't think that I can just send you things and they get through to where you can grow them there. Sister Sarah, hello from Sacramento. Great to see you. Glad, thank you. I appreciate the well wishes, and I'm really glad to see you too. But it's all, a part of this year. I'm glad that I can continue growing something, some of the basics. I don't think I could live without picking a tomato out of my own garden, or having a potato that, even though I don't have enough to feed us for the year, it's still, I'm going to have enough to put away some tubers for regrowing next year, and at least have a few meals of fresh potatoes and tomatoes this year. And hopefully some of the beans, the cowpeas that I planted, will grow, and I'll be able to refresh my stock on those, and maybe actually get to taste them, cook some of them, because I grew them for the experimental farm network and sent them back 2 pounds, and just kept, a little handful of seeds for me to regrow. And it's fun to do that, and I kind of miss it. But there's no way that I can continue, because they sent me a lot of things like the perennial sorghum and oh, coral sorghum also. It got like 15, 20 feet tall, and there was no way that I could crossbreed the two. So I'm going to have to pass on the seed to somebody else that can handle crossbreeding sorghum and get perennial sorghum, more like coral sorghum, where it can come back every year. And it turns out it's not perennial here. The crop didn't come back, so it may need a warmer climate, for it to be perennial. I don't have a clue yet, because it's all experimental, trying to keep alive things that aren't around anymore because people with the perennial, it was too short, a tiny plant. And I think they wanted the humongous plant to crossbreed with it so that it would be perennial, where you just cut down the canes and make your own sorghum and it come back every year. So that's still an experiment that I don't know that I can complete. And then the kale, when it's a perennial kale I had seeds for, and I have to continue when I'm well enough, putting that into the ground and getting the perennial kale to succeed here in my climate. That's either too much rain or too much, not enough rain. So everything is a live and learn, and I'm missing the experiments. So all I can do is talk about them, and I've still got peanuts from China that I was able to get a few peanuts from. Escaping the Matrix says my next video was the one sea has the one sea kale on it. I look forward to it, or I don't know if you just put that up, but that's another thing I have to regrow or restart, the sea kale. Long time in getting this filmed. Okay. But that's one, I look forward to it because I still have to succeed at growing the sea kale here, because I can't remember why, or, we could have had a hailstorm that got my sea kale. Mine was in the initial stages of, a little bitty guy, and I've learned I've got to protect it more and keep it in a bag or something until I get it big enough to let it live in my yard. And it's possible, I didn't have enough, of something that it needed, to keep it going here. But again, I lost mine when it was in the baby stages. It needed more pampering. But also, like I was saying, I found a couple of the potato berries that I failed to clean the seeds out of. So now I'm going to get them out and get them going. American Expat says we're all really growing in here is coconuts and bananas. Yeah, but you've also got the oh, what was it called? You've got a plant growing that I lost mine. It was a sugar substitute from South America. Can't remember the name. Oh, that's one bad thing too about the surgery or what I've went through. Memories are missing. But stevia, yeah, you've got the stevia going. Rainbow Bling remembers. Hi, Rainbow Bling. Yeah, it was stevia. I'm gonna have to look for another plant to get stevia back in my garden, because that's one thing that I really miss having. Hi. It's possible, I haven't been able to shop, or I didn't shop much on plants, and they didn't have many plants this year, but maybe it'll be, hi Shirley, maybe it'll be on the discount rack somewhere, this year too, or maybe it's just meant to be, that I don't need it anymore too. Everything happens for a reason. Because stevia is something that I brought in and took out, but it could take a hit, of frost, and then I'd take it in the house and it would come back. But, leaving it out in frost and frost and frost, it didn't come back. So it's definitely not happy in Missouri winters. But it survives a couple frosts, so I learned that part of it. And there was no way when I did get home from the hospital to bring it in. And I didn't start the seeds from Lovers for a Happy Life, Peaches. She sent me the care package with moringa. And so, I'm probably going to do, as soon as I can get enough soil to make a pot. I have to take a little bit of time to get a pot full and, get moringa started. And then I keep thinking about, chewed potato seeds. How do you do the stevia? It's kind of, you got to do it like a house plant. It's in your climate in California, you may be able to leave it out in a pot, but you take the leaves off and dry the leaves. Just let them set and dry, and then crumble them up and use them in, your baking, or what I did for because my husband's diabetic. You would let the stevia leaf, the dried leaf, sit in your coffee for a little while till the sugar amount got in there, and then pull the leaf out, kind of like a bay leaf, is how we used it for his coffee. Or you can grind it into a powder and then mix it in, but I found it didn't mix into the coffee well enough, for him to drink it. He's too impatient. Sister Sarah said, I used my sugar plant to make cucumber mint lime juice. It's refreshing. Try it for your hot evenings. Also, use them fresh. I'm glad you have it too. But with only having the one plant, I didn't, sometimes the frost got to it before I got to get my leaves off too, and they would come back in the winter. And are you in a warm climate where yours stayed out longer? Or did you have to bring your plant in or out, sister? Let's see. Sorry, I'm going back through the comments to see if I missed anybody. And if you came in and I missed you, I'm sorry. But let's see. But I guess that's another thing I need to do is just make a list of things that I need to get back into my garden. Sneaky, sneaky, and go from there. And what was it? I still need to go to the back and see what, if anything, has came back, because I know some of the ground covers that I put in are back there seeding. American Expat, thank you for coming in. I hope you enjoyed breakfast. Bye-bye for now to the American Expat. And I'm not leaving, I'm still here. But, I guess you guys are helping me be sneaky too, as in, you understand that I'm only doing a little, I'm not doing enough to hurt myself. You're in California and you only cut it down in the winter and it grows back. So your winters are, what do you call it, warm enough temperatures for it to come back. That's great. I'm really happy to hear that it can live as a perennial. Because you can get more from your plant than I can. As a garden plant, I need actually more than one plant to sustain our needs for the winter, because I'm in Missouri and it's 6A. We're getting warmer winters, but last winter was hard. St. Louis didn't get as much as we did in mid-Missouri. We had ice storm after ice storm after ice storm, and everything took a hit. So I'm lucky that the greenhouse plastic stayed over my potatoes for the Sapo Mira and the Charlotte, because not many in my open potato garden came back. They didn't make it through the winter, and normally I do have some that do make it. And next year I'm just gonna find out what works best and go with things that are making really good sized potatoes, and do away with a lot of the the teeny tiny some of the teeny tinies, like what was it called, Russian banana. There was like 18 to 20 potatoes on each plant, and if I could devote a whole row of potatoes to that, That would be a good crop for the little potatoes, but I um, would have to open my yard or actually go into more of a garden area in the back to have that kind of crop for the small potatoes. I've got the cattle panels, I think, are 18 feet, so I've got 18, probably 28 feet, that I added another 10 feet in just a short bed to my potato garden a couple years ago. But that one's hard to keep the weeds out of it, and it's a little more shaded. So, and it don't have enough really high raised soil in it to just put your hands in and, pull the potatoes out like the rest of the garden is. I'm really lucky the soil, I've worked on the soil since 2008, raising the bed so that the walnut tree won't affect it. And yeah, the squirrels, bring in walnuts, I found from the oca plants that I brought out, there was a walnut that was in those plants. But I think I've pretty much lost the okas too. But let's see. Are there any questions, or we'll go ahead and start chatting rather than me just going on and on, you know? But what's that called? For Shirley, we need some apartment type plants and greens. Lettuces would go good in a container in the shade in your area too. But at the moment, the shade garden would be behind me too, and with the heat, I could start dropping some lettuce seeds in there and try to get some lettuce going because it's almost time. And I found I'm starting to be able to eat iceberg lettuce, but I really don't like to grow lettuce like that. I like the kind that like romaine and oh, I can't remember the other one that was like romaine. That's a really hefty lettuce, and get those going. Escape the Matrix says, my dad's garden is plagued by squirrels planting walnuts. He digs them up so I can plant them here. You really don't want too many walnut trees unless you've got acres, because the jugalone from the walnuts make your ground like a herbicide, where tomatoes get stunted and can't grow. Like I can get if I put tomatoes here in the ground, I might get one tomato off of it. And the Sweet Million, the cherry type tomatoes, somehow with them on the field here in the topsoil bags, I can get them to produce quite a bit. But I pretty much have to keep tomatoes in the back about 400 feet away. I've planted them well away from the veg. That's good. The drip line is like 50 feet away is what's recommended to keep them away. But I found, because like your dad's garden, the walnuts just pop up here and there everywhere. You have to keep them, a good 200 to 400 feet away from the walnut trees, to have a good tomato crop. And they still, they don't produce quite as much as normal. People that don't have any kind of walnuts can get a lot more tomatoes than I can because of the jugalone, I think, in the soil. And then my soil is slightly acid, where tomatoes like that. So corn, until I can put in, what is it, lime, I need to sweeten the soil if I ever want a good crop of corn. Put an area like that. So that kind of requires some work. And a lot of the soil that you buy and bring in has peat moss in it. So that adds to the acid in the soil. When the chemical they use to make it neutral wears off. And then corn too likes a harder soil. It doesn't like a fluffy soil. Otherwise, when the wind blows, your corn falls over. And I've seen people, do corn in a raised bed and have success. But I haven't been that lucky. As you saw from an earlier video, my popcorn got left out to the frost, and it was only tiny ears, you know, so I didn't succeed with popcorn last year too. You know, that's all an experiment for me too. We're back here, you know, in this area, when the trees weren't so high and the sun came in more, I was able to get some corn back here, you know, eating size sweet corn. But I guess I'm going to go ahead and close for now unless, you know, anyone else has any questions. But, you know, I have to find a place to sneak these plants in, you know, the squash and the muskmelon. I've got 4 to go, so I need to get at least 1 in the ground, you know, and then, you know, call it a day until tomorrow I can sneak another one in the ground. But, you know, I guess there's no questions, so I'll go ahead and close. I really enjoyed talking to you all. You know, thank you. Escaping the Matrix. You know, I'll give you all love, you know, hugs and kisses and love, you know, from Missouri. Have a wonderful night or day, you know, if you're on the other side of the world. Bye for now. Thank you, Shirley. Bye. Love you.